Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that every day of your life will look almost exactly the same. You wake up, you work, you distract yourself, you sleep, and then you do it again. Not because it leads anywhere, but because that is simply what happens. Now imagine asking yourself a question so uncomfortable that most people never say it out loud. If life has no ultimate meaning, why continue living at all? Albert Camus believed this was not one philosophical question among many. He believed it was the fundamental one. To understand why, imagine standing alone in a universe that never answers you back. You ask why you are here. You ask whether anything you do matters. You ask whether there is a point to any of this. And the universe responds with silence. Camus called this confrontation the absurd. Not the meaninglessness of the world by itself, but the clash between our deep desire for meaning and the world's complete indifference to that desire. The absurd is not sadness. It is not despair. It is not nihilism. It is a tension that never resolves. Once you see this tension clearly, one response can seem almost logical. If life has no ultimate meaning, why not simply opt out of it? Camus confronts this question directly. He argues that suicide is not a solution to the absurd, but an escape from it. Suicide treats the absurd as a problem to be solved, when it is actually a condition to be lived with. Ending one's life does not answer the question of meaning. It removes the only being capable of asking it. But Camus argues there is another escape that is far more common and far more subtle. Imagine someone who cannot tolerate uncertainty. Someone who accepts a comforting story about the universe, not because it is true, but because it ends the discomfort of questioning. Camus calls this philosophical suicide. It happens when we invent or accept meanings that cannot be justified, simply to avoid living with the absurd. In this way, both suicide and false meaning attempt to escape the same tension. They both refuse to live with unanswered questions. To explain what he means by this, Camus turns to an ancient myth. Sisyphus is condemned to push a massive rock up a hill. Each time he reaches the top, the rock rolls back down, and he must begin again. There is no progress, no reward, no final victory, just repetition. Camus ends his essay with a strange and unsettling claim. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because the task has meaning, but because Sisyphus is conscious of his condition. He knows the rock will fall. He knows the task is endless, and yet he pushes anyway. In that awareness, Camus sees defiance, and in defiance he sees freedom. Now compare this to nihilism. A nihilist looks at the same rock and says, "This is pointless. Nothing matters." The absurd hero looks at the rock and says, "Yes," and pushes anyway. The difference is not belief in meaning. It is attitude toward the absence of it. Absurdism does not deny meaning because it is painful. It denies it while refusing to give up on life. But this position comes at a cost. Absurd living offers no resolution, no final justification, no moment where the tension disappears. You never arrive. You never prove that life is worthwhile. You live in permanent uncertainty. This raises a serious problem. If Camus denies objective meaning, on what grounds does he say that living in defiance is better than despair? The absurd hero still chooses to live, chooses to act, chooses to resist resignation. But if meaning is rejected, what justifies these choices? Camus does not fully resolve this tension. Instead, he embraces it. Perhaps this is why the absurd feels so relevant today. Many modern lives already resemble Sisyphus. Work, consumer, repeater. The absurd is no longer an abstract idea. It is a lived experience. The question is no longer whether life has meaning, but how we live knowing that it may not. Camus does not offer hope. He offers clarity, not comfort, but confrontation. The absurd does not tell you how to live. It tells you that you must decide, without guarantees. And perhaps that is the quiet challenge at the center of philosophy. Not whether life is meaningful, but whether you can live without an answer. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you disagree with anything or think something important was missed, I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. I will see you next time.